Welcome, welcome. It's good to see you guys. Let's see. Let me go ahead. I'll leave it. No, I'll change it. Why not? Let's see. I am Hunter. I'm one of the coaches here in the program. I'm so excited you guys are here. Today's going to be a good call. It's going to be so good. I'm really, really excited for this evening. It's going to be awesome, awesome. A couple things we're going to be going through. We're going to be talking about the like kind of what I talked about on or posted on the community. We're going to be talking about guilt versus shame, what the difference is, and how to process each one of those, and what one's beneficial for you. I'm sorry, I'm just cleaning my glasses. I just looked at myself. They're like super dirty. Let's see if there's. Let's see if I can change my glasses here. Better. Okay. Um. Anyway, so I'm really really stoked for you guys. Let's see. Let me open the channel. Oh, yeah. Yes, yes. So Michael said we get you 2 weeks in a row. Great. Yeah. Sorry if you guys weren't expecting me. I know I'm kind of a letdown compared to Sarah. I'm sorry. Um, but I'm really, really excited for today. It's gonna be so good. Okay, first things first, like I say, I always like to start with um a random question that doesn't really involve overcoming pornography or, what we do here. I kind of like to just get to know you guys a little bit more. I've asked questions about, what music you guys like, what your favorite hobbies are, where you like to travel, all that good stuff. So today's question, um, and I'm hoping that you guys all have experienced this, okay? What is your favorite season and why? Okay, I don't want you to just say like, "Oh, it's spring." Like why? Like what's your reasoning behind, liking a certain season, okay? So what's your favorite season? If you guys don't know where the question answer is, if you're on your phone, it'll be on the bottom bar. Desktop, same idea. It's Q&A. So if you click that, you'll be able to open up the spot to send in questions and stuff. Okay, they'll come directly to me. So if you guys share something that you don't want your name, that's okay. I won't read your name. Okay. Okay, go ahead and throw in what is your favorite season. Nick said winter because snow is awesome. Yes, it is awesome. Nick, where are you from? Michael said, as a photographer, I love the fall time of the year. Oh my gosh, yeah. The fall is like so good. It's so pretty. And yeah, Nick said he's from Colorado. Yeah, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm from Utah. I love the snow, but I hate the winter. So I hope that makes sense because the thing is winter is just cold. And if it's not gonna snow, I like hate it. Does that make sense? Um Okay, let's see. Colorado, springtime, and that's when I can plant seeds and plants and watch them grow. Oh, Rod, yeah, I think it's so exciting to like see everything blossom again. It's like so hopeful. I love it. I like fall. It's like spring without the allergies. Fall fashion is so cute. Yeah, true. True, true, true. Like sweater weather is awesome. Okay. Uh Rod's from Oklahoma. Let's see. Spring because I'm in Texas, so it's not quite 100 yet. Yes, and I don't like the cold. Yeah, that's tough. I have some family in um Frisco. Is that how you say it? Frisco, Texas. Um, but anyway, good stuff. Good stuff. My favorite, I honestly, it like toggles between winter and summer, but the only reason why I don't lean towards winter is because if it's just cold and there's no snow, it's not fun. But I'm a big snowboarder, and so if it snows, I mean, it's winter becomes the best ever, right? Um, and I like summer because I'm a big golfer, but I also love the Fourth of July, and so you know, Fourth of July is like celebrating all month long, and it's just the best ever. Usually summer because it's lighter later. Yeah, true. Right, with we just barely shifted times again, and I feel like we just did that in September, but it feels like it was yesterday. And it is nice to be a photographer too. I also like winter because there are nice sundowns over the ocean. Oh, I believe it. I bet. Good stuff. I actually, fun fact, I actually also have some family in Thousand Oaks, California. So they love it. They love it out there. Um, awesome. Okay, look at that. So fun, right? Get to know you guys a little bit. All right, so for today we're going to be talking about the guilt versus shame and how that works, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to share my whiteboard really quick and I'm going to go through three different questions, okay? Each one of these questions I want you guys to keep in your head or keep your answers in your head, okay? If you guys can, write them down on a piece of paper or your phone or whatever, okay? Awesome, awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and hopefully you guys can see this. I'm going to throw the chat over here. If you guys have any questions while we're working through this, let me know. But here we are. Okay. So we're going to be doing something about with guilt and shame and how to create bridge thoughts in a healthy way. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and start off with drawing this lovely looking arrow. Okay. All right. Now, I want you guys to throw in the chat what you guys believe. Like if you guys could describe what shame is to you, okay? So what I mean by that is when you feel shame, what comes up for you? And what does that feel like? Or I want you to describe it to me. Go ahead and throw it in the chat. What shame is to you, or describe shame the best you can. Throw it in the chat for me. I know it's a little bit of a tricky question. Here we go. Disgusted with myself. Yeah. Yeah. A feeling of being separate, like an outcast. Yeah. Or like, feeling like you're not connected, right? Something is wrong with me. Yes. Shame has made me feel defective. Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing, guys. This is awesome. Needing to hide. Yeah. It's like you're trying to like disassociate from everything else and you're not in control, like Michael said. Yeah. Embarrassed to bring something up to people. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. These are amazing, amazing, amazing. Good stuff. Awesome, awesome. Okay. Shame, feeling awful, disgusted, useless. Yes. Yeah, feeling awful. Yeah, I love it. Okay, I love that you guys are sharing. This is great. Um, Thank you. Okay, so I want you to write this down. Okay, I know you sent it in the chat, but write it down. Okay, and we're gonna be able to work through this. What your guys' definition is of shame to you and what that feels like to you. Okay, now what definition is what shame is if I really just boil it down to the nitty gritty here. Shame is saying what you did makes you a bad person. Okay. Now, if I say that to you guys, I mean, that's got to feel horrible, right? If I tell you, I mean, you guys are bad people like that, I mean, that just feels so icky and all of these things, right? You feel like you need to hide and you just feel horrible about yourself, right? And that's what shame is, right? And it's very, 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 very difficult to find progress if you're feeling that way, right? If you're continuing to work through the program or trying to learn something new on how to overcome this for good, and shame is continuing to say you're a horrible person, you're disgusting, you have no control, go hide, go away, like all these things, right? I mean, it's going to be pretty dang hard to find progress, right? And ultimately overcome pornography for good, right? So shame, if we really boil it down, let me go ahead and write this up here really quick. Shazam. Let's see. Shame is what you did makes you a bad person. Okay. That's if I, boiling it down to the nitty gritty here. Okay. Shame is, the actions that you do make you a bad person, right? And I mean, that's tough. That's really tough to tell it to yourself. Okay. All right. Now, on the flip side, okay, there's guilt. Okay. Now, what do you guys think? Go ahead and throw in the chat. What do you guys think guilt is? What's the difference? Is there a difference between guilt and shame? Or are they the same thing? What do you guys think? What does guilt look like? I don't want to type it in yet, just in case you guys are gonna say something. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay, yes, perfect. So yeah, guilt is it's not saying you're a bad person, but it's saying, what you did, may not align with your values, right? Um, Yes, Joshua said it perfectly. Guilt is I did a bad thing. shame is I'm a bad person because of this thing, right? I like the distinction of I am a bad thing, shame versus guilt. I did a bad thing. Yeah, already that's perfect. Not the same, but I've done it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't feel shame. Uh, it's okay to admit guilt. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. You guys are saying some awesome things. To me, guilt is remorse for something done or not done, but not about oneself. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay. What's the 26? I'm trying to keep this decent here. 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay. Yeah. So guilt, if we really just boil it down, okay, this is what this is going to do is we're going to pull apart the difference between what shame and guilt is. Okay. So guilt is saying what you did doesn't align with your values. Move this really quick. But you are still, and then you can kind of fill in the blank there. Still worthy, still whatever, still a good person. Okay. You can kind of fill it in how you will. All right. Awesome. Does that make sense so far? Write this down if you guys haven't already. It's really good to know the difference here. Okay. Especially when you guys are continuing to learn about, how to overcome this for good. If you can distinguish the difference between these two, I mean, it's going to make all the difference. It really, really is. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So I want you guys to draw this arrow. If you guys have a pen and pad, go ahead and draw this arrow. Okay. So you can have your shame definition, your guilt definition, and then go ahead and draw this arrow here. Okay. And a lot of times, and I might not be speaking for everybody, but a lot of times when you slip up or you do something that doesn't align with you, naturally we're conditioned to say, "Oh my gosh, like you're so horrible, you're a bad person," and kind of shifting towards this shame aspect and saying, "Oh my gosh, don't tell anybody, you're a bad person because of this." And what are some other things that we set up here? Let's see. Um, you're embarrassed. Like this is embarrassing. Like this, don't do this, right? You're disgusting, you're useless, hopeless. Okay. Whatever that looks like for you when there's a slip up that happens. Okay. A lot of times we shift our brain naturally goes to more of this shame aspect over here. What you did makes you a bad person. Okay. And what our goal is here is to notice when you're feeling shame and pull yourself out of it. And there's a couple different ways that we can pull ourselves out of it. And our goal here is to shift more into a neutral standpoint or even, shifting over to, hey, it's okay. Like what you did doesn't really align with you. I mean, your beliefs and your values. It didn't really match that. And that's okay. You're still a great person and you're still worthy of love and you're still worthy of connection and relationships and all this good stuff. Okay. Because pornography does not define us, right? And I hope that you guys understand that. Pornography does not define who you are, right? And what our brain tells us, not every time, but pretty consistently when there's a slip up is saying, hey, pornography, this is who you are, and it makes you a bad person, right? And that doesn't align, right? And I think even me saying that, like it just kind of feels funny, right? In my stomach and chest. It just feels funky. Okay. So over here, I'm going to write down, I'll just write down I'm just gonna even pull this. How do I want to do this? Let's do this. Okay. So I'm gonna pull some of your guys' thoughts here. What you guys shared about shame, okay, and what your guys' feelings are towards it. So let me scroll back up really quick and check these out. Um uh Disconnected, I love that one. Embarrassed, I love that one. If I don't use yours, it's not because of you. I'm just gonna not in control. I'll use those three. Okay. If I didn't use yours, I mean, it doesn't make you any less than. Okay. Oh my gosh, there we go. Okay. Disconnected, embarrassed, not in control. Okay. Now these things that we tell ourselves is like it comes from this idea of feeling like our brains taking over and saying, hey, you're a bad person, right? Okay. But on the flip side, right, over here, what is something, and I want you guys to throw this in the chat, okay? So go ahead and share a couple ideas with me here. if you don't want to feel disconnected or embarrassed or you don't feel like you're in control, let's flip that 180 degrees here. And what do you want to feel? What do you want to have? Or what do you want to experience if it's not shame? Okay. And in a way, this is just kind of the opposite of what I wrote down here, right? So if you don't want to feel embarrassed or disconnected or in control, what do you want to feel? Okay, go ahead and share those in the chat with me. I'm curious. Ooh, I love that one, Mark. Confidence. I love that. Heard and understood. Oh my gosh, yes. Proud of myself. Oh, these are so good. Loved and accepted. Oh, these are awesome. I could just throw in every single one of these right over here. Loved, connected, uh, proud of myself. I love that one. I really, really do. Um, heard. Whoa, you guys can't see this anymore. Heard, understood. I'm just gonna throw all these in. Free. Oh, whoever that is awesome. I love that one. Confident. These are so good. Good stuff. Awesome, awesome. Okay, we'll keep it at that. This is amazing. Okay. Now you don't have to answer this part in the chat, but if even reading this little list that we made, feeling loved, connected, feeling proud of yourself, feeling like you can be heard and understood, feeling free and feeling confident, right? All of these amazing things that are so possible to feel and experience. Okay. Now, if you look at the two ends of these spectrums here, right? Like one side, very disconnected, embarrassed, not in control, and whatever else that relates to you. And then on the whole opposite side, you've got all these beautiful things. Okay. Now, I like to look at this as, I hope you guys are familiar with football, American football. Um, so I can use this example here. Okay. Um, on this side over here, okay, we can look at this arrow like a football field. Okay. Now over here, this is us on like the 1 yard line. Okay, over here on the 1 yard line. All right. And we obviously have to get all the way over here. Okay. Now going 99 yards in one play, if you're familiar with football, that's insane. That is crazy, right? But there are some times where that happens, right? Where like, crazy things happen where you throw a Hail Mary or you find a pocket and your running back is able to kind of run through, okay? But that it's very, very rare that that happens, right? And if you watch football, you know that you've got to kind of work downfield, right? You've got to kind of go here and then maybe you can get another 20 yards or so, and then you get another like 4 yards. Oh my gosh. Wait. Let's see. Another like 4 yards here. Okay, you guys see what I'm coming at here? Something like this, right? You kind of working your way downfield and eventually getting to this idea here. Okay, Jake said, where's the chat button / window? I don't see any group chat. Okay, yeah, so um, all of the chats get sent directly to me. So you guys won't be able to see each other's answers. That's why I'm trying to write down like a lot of the stuff that uh, people like write and share. And I'll read your guys' comments to make sure that everybody's getting heard. Okay, does that kind of make sense? Thumbs up? Cool. All right. Perfect. Okay, so I hope you guys are understanding kind of where I'm getting at here, okay? Knowing that, you've got to kind of work slowly downfield, and that's how you're going to eventually get to where you want to be, okay? Over here on this side, and then, working downfield to get over here. Now, there are things that we can do to get ourselves closer to feeling this idea of, shifting this idea of hey, I'm a horrible person to hey, I'm a good person and I know that I can overcome this for good. Okay. So there's a couple things that we can do here. All of these little hashes we're gonna fill in with it's like a belief plan if you guys are familiar with one of those. Okay. So we're gonna have 4, and you can have 2, you can have 10, you can have however many, but for this example, we're gonna have 4 different um, beliefs about yourself that can get you closer to feeling love, connected, proud of yourself, heard, understood, feeling confident, free. Okay. Does that make sense? So go ahead and throw in the chat for me. But the thing is, you can't jump here. Okay. So as you guys are sharing, it needs to be very slow and steady, working downfield. Okay. So the first one could be, so I'll kind of fill in the first one really quick for you so you can kind of get an idea here. Okay, so if you're feeling very disconnected and you're feeling embarrassed and you feel like you don't have much control over your emotions and the way you're kind of functioning right now, okay, that's okay. And there's the first thing that you can do to kind of push yourself in the right direction is knowing here. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. The first thing that you guys can do to, start yourself on this processing journey of like processing shame in a healthy way. Okay. Because that's the whole goal here. Actually, do you guys have any in your chat? Go ahead and throw in the chat. What are some ideas? And I'll write a couple down as well. Let's see. That's way too big, but let's go ahead and shrink that down a ton. Okay. So this is my first one. All right. And I want you guys to think about this for a minute. Notice that it's not, I am a good person. Okay. Because when we're in this state of telling yourself, I'm a bad person, all of a sudden shifting 180 degrees and saying, you know what, I am a good person. Like it's very difficult to do that. Okay. So maybe you could just say, hey, you know what, maybe I am a good person. Like what if I was a good person? Okay. Obviously, I know you guys are all amazing, right? But this idea here is understanding that, hey, if you're feeling very disconnected, embarrassed, non-control, feeling like a bad person, okay? Why does it say, okay, what the heck? I don't, give me 1 second. I don't know why there's two S's. That's why. I was like, what is going on? There, I spelled it right. Okay. Anyway, so feeling disconnected, embarrassed, not in control, feeling like a bad person. What if you can kind of just play around with it and say, hey, well, maybe I'm a good person, right? Maybe you are a good person, right? Rod said, I can do this. Yeah, I love that one. I think that's a perfect spot to go right here. Yeah, I can do this. Okay, what's another belief thought or what's another thought you can have towards yourself that can continue working down the field or working along this arrow that can eventually get you here? Go ahead and throw some in the chat. What are some things you guys can tell yourself to continue processing this shame? Oh my gosh. Okay, whoever's iPhone, great work. That's you guys, you're popping off. Okay. Oh, I love that. Okay, I can normalize my sexual desires and choose a healthier way to cope. I can help. I feel in control. I can help others. Oh my gosh, these are so good. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this one right here. I don't know why it keeps like going so big, but whatever. Maybe I don't have to struggle with this forever, right? Maybe I don't. How's what iPhone said? Good work. Feeling in control. I am making good progress. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's a perfect one. We'll throw that one right here. I am making good progress here. I love that one. Let's go ahead and like shrink it just a little bit. Do something like this. Okay. I love that. I like that one. Maybe I don't have to struggle forever. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Isn't it so good? It's all because of you guys. You guys are the ones that are writing this, you're filling this in. So thank you. Good work. All right. I'm just gonna kind of move that a little bit and move this a little bit. All right, there we go. Okay, now you kind of notice this. Okay, look at what we kind of created here. All right. At one side of the spectrum, or on the left side here, you're feeling very disconnected and embarrassed and not in control, feeling like a bad person. And what's driving those feelings? What's driving that? Shame is driving that, right? And it's going to be really hard to all of a sudden say, hey, you know what? I'm going to overcome this for good. I'm a great person and I can do this, right? It's going to be really difficult to do that, right? I'm not saying it's impossible, but being able to process shame is huge. Okay. And that's exactly what this is showing you. Okay. How to do is how to process shame. Okay. Obviously, there's so many different ways. This is just one, but a lot of people find progress and a lot of success here. Okay. If this doesn't really jive with you and this doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. There's so many other options here. Okay. This is just one of them. All right. So, shame saying you're a bad person, you feel really disconnected. And what if you could put, like just kind of work your way downfield or work your way to a place that you want to be, right? So what if you could say, maybe I am a good person, right? I'm not all that bad. And the more you think about it, you could say, wait, I actually do have really good relationships with, my friends and family. And or, hey, um I have a good job and the connections I have there with my coworkers are great, right? Or whatever that looks like to you, saying maybe I'm not a bad person, okay? And that porn isn't your whole life, right? There's other things there too, right? And then at that point you can say, well, maybe I can do this. Like maybe I can actually, overcome this for good. And honestly, it's something I don't have to struggle with forever, right? And I love this one. Okay, I love this one because growing up for me, before I joined the program, this one was huge, like huge roadblock for me because I was continuing to tell myself that this is something that I have to struggle with forever. And it like frustrated me like to the core. I was like, this is so annoying. I was like, the fact that people are literally like my parents are literally telling me that this is something I have to deal with forever. Like it was horrible to hear, right? And I started to believe it too, right? And that's where shame started to kick in and say, you know what? Yeah, like you're a bad person and this is something you're gonna deal with forever. So like whoop-de-doo, right? And even just challenging that belief and saying, maybe I don't have to struggle with this forever. Like maybe I can actually have a life where, I'm not afraid of processing my urges, right? And then recognizing that, oh my gosh, I'm making solid progress here, right? And it's probably, and I don't want you guys to think that you have to, you know, make like ridiculous, like a crazy amount of progress in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? But looking back at a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, like you're going to notice so much progress and so many stepping stones that can continue to like help you along your way, right? You can struggle with something for some time and not be a bad person, but I know what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, and then recognizing, hey, I'm making a lot of great progress here, right? And at this point over here, you're at this point where your beliefs and your values are aligning with you, and now it's not shame that's driving those feelings, right? It's more guilt and saying like, hey, you know what, if you do slip up, that's okay because you're making so much progress and this does not define who you are, right? And you're still an awesome person, right? And that at that point you can still feel that love and that connection and feeling proud of yourself and understood and feeling free from this and that confidence. Okay, does that kind of make sense? What are you guys' thoughts on that? Any questions? We're feeling good. Chat's quiet, so I'm gonna say it's good. Okay. Encouraging. Yeah, yeah, no, it is. It's so encouraging knowing that, there's a way to process shame, right? And I think that's really what this whole thing boils down to, right? Is if you're feeling shame, that's okay, but there's a way to, process it, right? And you can do this belief plan and you can personalize it as much as you want to you to where you want to be. Okay. I love this tool. It can be so, so helpful. Okay. Now, a couple other things that we've talked about, CTFAR stuff. This ties in very closely to that. So if you're familiar with CTFAR, awesome. If not, jump on another webinar that we've done in the past with me. I know that I've done CTFAR stuff, but anyway, that's kind of how that goes. Is there a lesson on how to process? Are you referring to process what? Because there's a lot of things you could process. Process like life. Sorry, we're gonna give it a minute. Wait for him to check to type. Like you're referring to like processing like urges specifically, processing like sit and feel emotions and thoughts. Okay, yes, 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 yes. So that is actually, yeah, give me. Okay. So this can be a whole nother like conversation. Um, because sitting and feeling with emotions is really important. Um, and there's so many different ways to do it. Okay. And I can touch on it really quick for the next, 10 minutes or so. If you have any questions, let me know, Jake. But I mean, I'm more than happy to talk about it for a minute. So um there are two, I like to split it up into two. Sorry, I'm like looking over here because that's like where I see everybody. Let me slide over here. So it looks like I'm like talking to the camera. So there are two different ways in a way. No, 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 you're totally good. I was about to close up on this anyway, because if nobody had questions, then we're solid here. Okay. Shame versus guilt, knowing the difference, and how to process shame and move forward. Okay, does that make sense? So you're not derailing. You're fine. You're totally good. Um, and honestly, I'll be able to tie in some of this as well. So you don't have to stress too much, man. No sweat. So there's two different types of or two different ways to process emotion. Okay, or process your thoughts or process urges. Okay. The first one, this isn't doctrine. This isn't, oh my gosh, this is the end all be all, like this is it, right? But some things that I've found that have really helped, okay, is splitting it up into two ideas and having a list for both. Okay. So I'll first create a list of things that I can do, like mindfulness practices. Okay. So a couple of them that come to mind is a breathing technique that I like to use. It's not revolutionary. It's just like the 4 in, 4 out type box breathe. Um, and so if you can do that, so I have a mental list of things that I'll do mindfulness practices. Okay. One of them is that box breathing. Another one that I teach a lot in the program, is basically you look straight ahead and you take some deep breaths, and then you start calling things out around you in your peripheral. So you don't look with your eyes or your head. You're just gonna look straight ahead and say, I see a water bottle. I see a piano. I see my mouse right here. I see a picture frame. I see the window. Okay. And doing this can get you into your environment, especially if you're feeling pretty anxious and feeling like, you're offline. Doing these things can be really, really helpful because it can bring you back online and it can, put you into your environment. Okay. And what I like physically in your environment, saying like, hey, I'm in this room right now and this is what I'm like seeing. Okay. So that's the second one. The third one is, describing where you physically are. Okay. So I'm sitting in this super not great comfy chair. Okay. It's not really that nice. I have socks on, but I can feel the carpet on my feet. The armrests of my chair are like kind of cold, but kind of warm. So like describing things that you're physically feeling can be really helpful. Okay. What that's going to do, it's going to get your brain in a place of, okay, this is where I am. This is what I'm feeling. And then at that point, processing emotions is going to be so much easier. Yes, just like senses. Yep. You got it. And it's going to be so much easier to process that emotion. And what I mean by process is just being there with it and saying like, hey, you know what? I'm feeling stressed today. That's okay. Or, I had a tough day at work. I'm a little tired and a little bored. That's okay. Like I can sit there with this feeling, right? Because before, if you're being online or if you're offline and you're feeling these emotions, your brain's going to start to panic and try to grab something that can be helpful, right? And a lot of times you turn to pornography because you're like, your brain says, hey, I know that this works. It helps for a minute. Let's go there, right? So pulling yourself back online and then being with your emotions, really helpful. Okay, so that's mind like mentally, and yeah, like Jake said, like your senses, that's where you can go. Okay, you can go there. The second way you can go, and we'll end with this, The second place you can go is physically, okay? And then like physically slash like actions that you can take. But these actions have to have intention behind them, okay? You can't do something without having an intention behind it, okay? Because if you don't have intention, you're just avoiding. All right. I'll give you an example, okay? So let's say I'm feeling a strong urge to go view pornography, okay? And I instantly go to my car and go to the gym. Okay. Now, like that seems like a great idea because it's like, oh, you're gonna go occupy yourself, you're gonna go do something. The one issue with that though is if I'm not driving to the gym and I'm not at the gym and having intention of like, okay, I'm here at the gym because of this, then there's no point of going to the gym because then you're gonna come back and that urge is still gonna be there. Okay. But if you can have intention behind it, even, hey, I'm feeling an urge right now. I'm going to pop in some headphones and go on a walk. Okay. If you do that and you're not telling yourself, hey, I'm doing this to process this urge, or I'm doing this to, um, work through this emotion, there's no point in doing those actions because you're eventually going to come back to your house or come back to your apartment or home or whatever, and the urge is going to still be there. Okay. Does that make sense? And I love like the action side of it. That to me makes a lot of sense. And it's something that's very easy to do because, if I'm feeling, an urge or feeling an emotion that's uncomfy, then, I'll go sit at the piano and I'll say like, hey, I'm playing the piano right now. I'm going to really, put my emotion into it and, um, you know, understand what I'm feeling instead of just going to the piano to avoid it. Okay. Delaying the inevitable, I can't even say that. Delaying the inevitable gratification. Yeah, and that's what we don't want. We don't want to just delay that urge to view pornography. That's not what we're looking at here. But, if you like what you're wanting to do is, if you have actions or like hobbies that you like to do, and if you have intention behind it and say, hey, I'm doing this, I'm painting right now to, you know, like sit with this emotion or sit with this stress. Okay. Does it make sense? For me, it really, really helps. It also obviously takes time. Okay. All these new things are just like, dirt roads. Okay. And Sarah liked to talk about this a lot. All these new things that you're learning, it's like a dirt road. But the more you use it and the more consistent you are with, practicing, processing shame and shifting into a loving, more connected space, it helps so much. Okay. And eventually that dirt road is going to come, a great highway where it's just very natural. Okay. When you feel an urge, you do this, or you feel an urge and you process this, and it's going to become very natural. Okay. Training for more beneficial use of time and activity. Exactly. Yeah. It's just all about, what you're doing that can align with you. Okay. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Do you guys have any questions for me before we jump off? Are you feeling all right? Any questions at all? Is it helpful for you to stick with one way of processing urges or do different ones? Great question. So for me, it's really helpful to kind of have two or three in my back pocket, um, because sometimes, and I like to use this example a lot, right? So um, if I'm on vacation, okay, if I'm on vacation and I have an urge, okay, and I only have one way to go about processing that urge, and let's say that's going to the gym, I can't go to the gym if I'm on a vacation, right? Like I can, but you get the idea. Um, so it's helpful to have, two or three in there where you can kind of jump around and say, hey, this is going to work best for me now. In your experience, what is a good way to sit with urges if I am in the process of looking at pornography? Sorry for the late question. No, dude, you're totally good. Don't stress about it. I'm gonna read that again. If you're in your experience, what is a good way to sit with urges if I am in the process? Oh, this is an awesome question. Okay. Um, the biggest thing for me that has helped, okay, is like literally I'll ask myself, like if I'm in that state of mind, if you're like in the process of looking up pornography, like at because there's always gonna be a time, I promise you, even if you guys don't say that there is, I promise you, whenever you're in the action of looking up pornography, or you're turning to something that that doesn't align with you, there's, no matter how quick it is, there's something that says, hey, no, this doesn't align with me. Okay, every single time. I promise you. Okay. But a lot of times, our brains are conditioned to say, like, hey, you know what, like, this is where we are. And if your values and your beliefs are telling you one thing, but like, hey, your brain's already made up your mind. Okay. So something that really, really helps is this one question. And I'll say, is this aligning with me and where I want to be? Okay. Is this going to bring me what I actually want? And what that question does is it pulls me back online, even if it's for 2 seconds. Okay. And at that point, it's a little bit easier to make that decision of saying, like, hey, you know what? This isn't what I want. This isn't going to help me. Okay. And it really, really helps. I encourage you guys to try that. It's going to blow your mind. It really will, I promise. It's pretty cool. Is sexual shame the same or different than regular shame? Great question, Greg. That I could go in for a long time. And we actually have, like, in the program, we have healthy sexuality milestone, and it's got like 8 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, something like that, of content of what the difference is there, how to process it, and all that good stuff. Very quickly, Greg, I can give you a super short answer because I could go into a can of worms here with it. Um, so the what Greg said, by the way, is sexual shame the same or different than regular shame? Okay. And you can go both ways there, because the thing is regular shame is saying, like, hey, I'm a bad person, right? And then sexual shame is saying, like, hey, um, and this is more of a cultural thing with, like, sexual shame. And that's what we talk a lot about in the program. Um, so I would say, there is a difference there. Um, and it's all about, how do I explain it without going into it? The best way to go about it is, if you're experiencing that sexual shame of, like, hey, whatever that looks like for you, um, asking yourself those questions, like, hey, what do my values say, and what are my beliefs, and what resonates with me. And what that's going to do, it's going to really, really help you align your, but like give you, like, list your beliefs out and say, like, hey, this is what my beliefs are and my values are. And what that's going to do, it's then going to give you a clear answer about, um, what healthy sexuality means to you, and all that good stuff. I know I could go into it, but it's a lot. Greg, I hope that kind of helped a little bit, but probably not too much. So, long answer short, there is a difference. Regular shame is something that you can process, the way we kind of talked about. Sexual shame, you can still process it the same way, but it's a little bit more personal, because it's like, hey, what is best for me? What aligns with me? Okay. Because, I might have beliefs or values that don't align with you, Greg, or you have beliefs and values that don't align with me, right? So it all kind of, that's a little more personalized, I guess, if that makes sense. Does that help, Greg, at all? Or are you just like, dude, that made no sense? I'm gonna say that. Let's see. Okay, it helps. Okay, perfect. All right. Amazing work, guys. I hope you guys learned a lot today. The whiteboard that I shared was, um I hope helped a lot. It really helps me understanding the difference between shame and guilt. It's a great stepping stone. Okay, really, really good block of content that you can really dive more into, right? We kind of just skimmed the surface a little bit, but amazing work, guys. You guys did so, so good today. Okay. If you guys have any other questions, we'll go ahead and jump off. Amazing work, and we'll see you guys later.